This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready?
And now, the W with Walls and the Crew.
Good morning.
Where winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. On 100.1 FM.
Good morning.
And Facebook Live.
Good morning. Another Saturday morning with the W Show. As always, thank you for tuning in, whether you're in your car on 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio, watching the W Show KC, Facebook Live, or however you're watching or listening to us. Thank you. Coming up on today's show, as always, we have a lot to talk about. The Kansas City head out west to take on the LA Chargers tomorrow for an AFC West Conference matchup, which we'll break down the game and you'll find out our prediction of who we have winning. WNBA star Maya Moore married the man that she helped exonerate. What's going on with that? Naomi Osaka wins her second U.S. Open, and former NFL quarterback Peyton Manning creates a scholarship for students at HBCUs. So, we'll have our sneakers of the week during our Head of the Leverage segment. But as always, we appreciate everyone tuning in. DJ Q, Jazz, how are you all doing this morning?
Good.
Doing good.
Long week?
Not really. Seemed like a short week to me almost.
It went by pretty fast. Jazz, how are you?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm glad that it's finally getting to be fall weather. I'm loving it. Cooling off.
Can't wait to break out those Uggs, huh?
Right.
That's funny because you see like memes and posts on various social medias like, is it fall time yet? Can I wear my Uggs?
Right? Or is it fall so I can finally dress and then I just wear hoodies and sweatpants for the whole
Facts.
It is hoodie season. That is correct. All right, let's get into our headline segment.
And now, here are the biggest sports headlines from this week. We bring them to you every Saturday morning on the W with Walls and the Crew on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
The Kansas City Chiefs head out west to take on the LA Chargers tomorrow for an AFC West matchup. The Chiefs will be heading into an unfamiliar SoFi Stadium. The new $5.3 billion stadium was built this year for the Chargers and the Rams. So the Chiefs' last home win against the Chargers' last home win against the Chiefs was December 29th of 2013 in the 27-24 loss. So how are you all feeling about this game? I mean, I know I have some thoughts, but Q, I'll start with you.
I'm confident in the Chiefs. Chargers have a new team that they've assembled, new quarterback, new running back. I mean, just the whole nine. Outside of the receivers, they've given the Chiefs some work in the past. Especially the recent past, but I really don't see this offense doing enough to keep up with the Chiefs and their chemistry they built over the last 2 to 3 years as a team.
And you know what? You talked about chemistry last week. We saw Mahomes spread the ball around a lot, and both the Mahomes and Andy Reid, the head coach, they're always saying, on any given day, anybody can be the man. And so you saw Tyreek Hill taken away last week. He was double teamed a lot. So then you look at Demarcus Robinson, who was targeted twice in the end zone. And then Mecole Hardman, who's a young guy who's coming in this year with a lot of confidence. And also, you can't forget about Sammy Watkins. So, it's kind of a pick your poison. We say this week in and week out. So it's, the thing about this game, and Jazz, I want to hear what your thoughts are, but it's like you're going out there. You don't have Bashar Breeland because he was suspended for the first 4 games this season. You don't have Travarius Ward. So your cornerback is going to be kind of lacking. And you're going up against a Keenan Allen and a Mike Williams who, Keenan Allen always has great games against the Chiefs.
Always.
Minus the game where he went down injured when he was really torching Marcus Peters that game. So, and I'm just going to be honest, he was. And so these guys are going to come into this game, on fire and ready to go. Jazz, your thoughts?
And I think the biggest thing week 1 was the confidence factor. Were they going to have a big head going into week 1 after last season? And I think they obviously proved differently last week. And so I'm hoping that they keep that momentum going into next week. And it was easy to have that energy, especially at your home stadium. And now they're going into a different stadium. So I think it'll be interesting with the new stadium and everything. And I'm excited. I think they'll bring a new energy that we were hoping for.
and the crazy thing about it is that they've beaten the Chargers in 4 different stadiums. So they've beaten them at Arrowhead, at Qualcomm Stadium, StubHub Center, which was, primarily the soccer stadium, now known as the Dignity Health Sports Park. And then last year they played them in Mexico. So, now they're in a new facility. So the Chargers, they really, since they left San Diego, they really don't have a home, right? LA is not their territory. LA, you think about the Rams. The Rams will have more of the LA fan. Also, even when the Raiders were playing there. So when you think about the Chargers now, and we talked about no fans being at the game. What really do the Chargers really have fans when they played out there in LA last year?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a tough year last year playing in that soccer stadium for them. But what can you do? You still have Phillip Rivers, Yeah,
they did have Phillip Rivers last year, but this year they're going in with Tyrod Taylor, and
the piece that they need.
You really think so? You think about it though, because Steve Spagnuolo has a lot. He's very familiar with Tyrod. From being in Buffalo, and he talked about that earlier this week.
Yeah, no, and it's a piece that the Chargers needed. You talked about how the Chiefs have been successful against them, especially on their own home field since 2013. And in 2013, that constant was Phillip Rivers. It was the same thing with the Giants. That constant was Eli Manning. And Eli Manning, yes, he won a couple of Super Bowls with some great defenses and some great athletes around him. But Phillip Rivers just kept falling short, and he's a statue in the pocket. The league has changed. We talked about 10 different starting quarterbacks that were black, and most all of them are fairly mobile in a sense of being able to be a dual threat for the offense and not being a statue in the pocket. And that being a statue in the pocket is a 1930s, 1950s type of mentality that is very old in 2020. And you see all of the teams that have a statue at quarterback, aren't very good at all.
And looking at last year, in both matchups last season, the Chargers held Patrick Mahomes to under 200 passing yards. And this was, he combined, of course, for 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So Los Angeles lost both games, but and that was in large part to, you mentioned Phillip Rivers, his turnovers. That was the reason that, I feel like the Chargers lost. And so one more thing to note about this game tomorrow is Andy Reid. He's been ice cold in September, right? Because over the past 4 seasons, he's 13-1.
Yeah, that's a big feat. But again, it shows you that given a good coach some time to prepare for certain teams, especially more than a week, Andy usually comes out on top against those teams. We hear about him in the bye week every year. I forget his record coming off the bye week by now. But he has a pretty solid win percentage after the bye week. And just giving him time to prepare for somebody is lethal for him.
It is lethal. And it's another thing that is more news coming out of Kansas City is that the Chiefs they have 10 people to quarantine after a person test positive at the game last week. So the day after attending the NFL season opener in Kansas City last week, a fan tested positive for COVID-19 a day later, prompting the authorities to tell 10 others who were at the game to quarantine. So the team credits safety measures with helping limit potential exposure to others who attended the NFL season opener last week.
I mean, fun times, huh?
But you think about the different protocols that the team and even not only the Chiefs but the NFL has made. You guys' thoughts on that? Because I mean, to me, I feel like they went over and above. However, I just don't think that there should have been fans at the game.
And I can agree, but I definitely think at the 20%, you don't ever want to wish that on somebody for people to be exposed. But I think at the 20% capacity, only 11 people affected or having to quarantine. I think that would almost be a success, but it's also unfortunate. So,
yeah, it's definitely unfortunate, and you never know really where they got infected. I mean, I'm sure they traced it back, but still there's no, 100% they were infected here. But still, to your point, Steve, there shouldn't have been fans at the game. They should be like the NBA with an empty stadium. But I mean, as everyone has been saying all week, these football programs, they're going more with the math versus the science.
It is, but and you speaking the math, they are saying that they expected, even with fans there, that somebody was going to come in with the virus, right? I mean, you see the numbers, and I take that even back to last year when everything had transpired. Nolan and I we were both at the Sprint Center when during the Big 12 tournament, and the doctor came in before they canceled the tournament. The doctor came in and said, "Hey, you had 18,000 people here. There's going to be at least somebody, just do the numbers, do the math. There's going to be somebody here with a virus and it's going to spread."
Yeah, no, and it's definitely going to spread with a lot of people gathering like that. I mean, we've talked about that since February, since March.
Right.
And it's not going away if we keep having football games. And, as the season goes, it's going to go up from that 20%.
Exactly. WNBA star Maya Moore, she married the man that she helped get exonerated. So a year and a half ago, Maya Moore, the 4-time WNBA world champion and 2-time Olympic gold medalist, stepped away from the game of basketball. She put her career on pause to devote her time to the cause of Jonathan Irons, a wrongfully convicted man who was more than 2 decades into a 50-year prison sentence. And so a judge ruled in March that the prosecution has suppressed the fingerprint evidence that could help exonerate Irons. So this summer, Maya Moore, she stepped away from basketball and helped get Irons released. And now they have announced that they're married. Maya Moore, 31 years old, and if Irons is 40. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
I would say that it's an amazing story. First off, let's get that out of the way. This man, obviously, how a lot of younger black men was wrongly convicted and incarcerated, and Maya Moore decided to, in a selfless act, to quit her Hall of Fame GOAT basketball career that she was working on to free this man. So I think we need to first, take time to acknowledge that isn't ordinary. That's not average. So she's a great human being for doing that. Having said all that, that's just wild just to think about. I mean, when they met, she was 18, he was 26, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's true.
Just quite a story. It's a lot of underlying, I would say, storylines that we, probably another time to examine. But just a great story.
For me, I think it was the fact that it was another prime example of how athletes and these celebrities can use their platforms to really make a change. Like you really actually have a say in it. And I know it takes a group of people to come together, but some of these athletes can have the biggest impact. And hers was a prime example. Even though she was young, she still was able to step in that light, take a risk on her career, giving up her career to really make a change and really prove a point. And obviously changed his life and ended up changing her life in the end too.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the story. It's just great, especially with two people coming together. A lot of people preach love and happiness. And I mean, as long as she fought for this man, I would expect, some kind of connection there. You're not just doing that for a stranger, off the street, and just really jumping in there to save somebody that you don't care about. And I'm sure within the whole process, they had conversations and a chemistry built, and you love to see it.
And you mentioned not doing it for someone off the street, Q. But I have a lot of questions, because we talk about a lot about prison reform. One of the people that are heading up to prison reform right now is rapper Meek Mill. He was in prison for, I believe, a year and a half, and was helped by the Philadelphia 76ers owner to be released, and also Jay-Z. And so you think about what Maya Moore did, but also how hard would she have worked if this was just somebody that she didn't know? Would she have done this if she didn't know him? And will she continue to help with this prison reform and a bad system? Would she have stepped away from the game of basketball to help somebody that she wasn't in love with?
Yeah, I wouldn't think she would. But even after this, it's not her responsibility to change a system. It's not her responsibility to fight for people. And she took up that cause, humbly, and being able to take up that cause. It shows that there are systems and laws and things in place that need to be changed. And it's up to our elected officials, to fight for these things. And the officials not fighting for it, again, going against the science and really looking at the math. And when we say the math, we're talking about the profits, we're talking about the money. And that's what drives America. The money that drives America is off of the backs of Black people, and it's in whatever industry that you can think about. So,
Chicago radio host fired for a tweet about ESPN reporter Maria Taylor's attire. So, Chicago radio host of radio station 670 The Score was fired after his comment that he made on social media about the outfit ESPN sideline reporter Maria Taylor was wearing on Monday night. So in a tweet that has since been deleted, McNeil posted a screenshot of Taylor and referenced an adult film industry in he posed a question: NFL sideline reporter or host for the AVN annual awards presentation?
Woo, I have a lot to say about this one.
Yes. She has a chamber loaded. Yes.
How risque. Oh no. She's
Gra-ta-ta-ta.
Wow. Because this outfit is just so revealing and it is so over the top. I don't know, man. All I have to say is I'm glad that he got a taste of his own medicine on that one. I think it's another example of females being sexualized. Like I said, the outfit that she was wearing, I wouldn't say it's anything that's too revealing. I would say it's pretty conservative. Yes, she has her shoulder showing, but I think that it was sexualized. And I think that a lot of times we have this preconceived idea of what women should wear, and that if she dresses like this way, then she means this. She's on the same platform that he is. She has the same credentials. She has education, and automatically, just because her shoulders are revealed, we're making an assumption. And I can't. I think, I don't know.
Nobody can, unfortunately. Nobody here, with a brain and who has been outside knows that outfit isn't revealing at all. I'm not to expose myself. I've seen a little bit of the AVN awards. Completely, completely different outfits. If we're being quite honest, looking at who's made the comments, I would assume that he would as well. I think this had more to do with she's just a black woman, and he's threatened by the fact that Maria Taylor is great at her job. You actually watched her on live television. She's great at her job. So I think this had more to do with intimidation and jealousy. So I wouldn't read too much into this. I mean, although we know the underlying factors of why he said what he said, I wouldn't pay, if I was her and she didn't, I wouldn't pay too much mind to this because she's on her way to a great career, and it's just, not even a bump in the road. We're just gonna, completely dismiss this.
And especially the fact that it was her debut, I think it was sad that somebody had to rain on her parade. I think that she did something different, and I give her props to it. Yeah, it wasn't cookie cutter. It wasn't what everybody expects you to wear, but it was something different, and I think it was a great move.
Yeah, and it just shows the racism and the misogyny that is built within a lot of these systems. I think it's Erin Andrews, or there's a white sideline reporter that's a female, and she had her shoulders out. I think it was in a photo 2 or 3 years ago, and he was completely silent about that. And maybe he didn't see it, shoot him some bail. Maybe he didn't see it. Maybe he wanted to go off on her, but I doubt it. We know exactly what it is. And he hated to see a black face in his sport, especially on sideline commentating and it being a black woman. And that, it enrages some people. And you saw that rage turned into him, correlating it to porn. And it was a sad correlation, but when do racists have logic?
Intercom, the sports talk station's parent company, issued a statement on Tuesday announcing McNeil's departure, calling his tweet degrading and humiliating, and apologizing to all who were offended by Dan's words, especially Maria. So, and Jazz mentioned Maria. She's 33 years old, and she made her ESPN's Monday Night Football debut after primarily covering college sports on the College Sports Network.
Yeah, great for her. Love it.
For real. She's great at her job, like I said.
MLB finalizes the playoff bubble plan. So the World Series will be played entirely at Texas Rangers' new ballpark in Arlington, Texas, home of Noel. And I had to throw that in there. But as a part of the bubble agreement between the Major League Baseball and the Players Association, the first time since 1944, the sports championship will also be played entirely at one site. This is very interesting because they talk about having it in a bubble, but it's not really a bubble because players are still on flights, players are still staying in hotels. They still are able to go home after the game. So I'm not sure why they're calling it a bubble.
It's not even close to a bubble. And it's not only is that, it's like multiple, like you said, multiple sites, and they're allowing fans. So, bubble is supposed to be, limited amount of, I guess, people in a given space. And so they're just allowing people to walk in off the street and come and go as they please. We saw in the NBA, a bubble is actually, hey, if you're in here, you can't leave. And if you leave, you have to quarantine for 10 days. We have to test you constantly. Anybody who has access to this bubble is tested constantly. That's how you actually create a bubble environment. This is just playoffs with no really home field advantage.
Basically.
Basically.
So as part of an agreement, which was finalized on Tuesday, the division series, league championship, and World Series will be part of a bubble designed to minimize exposure to the coronavirus, which decimated the regular season and limited it to 60-game schedule for each club. So the best of 3 first round of the postseason expanded to from 10 to 16 teams this year, and will be at the top of seeded team stadiums. So it's very interesting. I think, as far as when you look at baseball, even as a whole, think about the Miami Marlins deal. I'm hoping that they've learned from the Miami Marlins and not allowing these players to just go out and roam the country freely like they have been in the past. So, we'll see. Hopefully it ends well.
Yeah, definitely, especially for a sport as boring as that one.
Come on, Q, play baseball, man.
I played baseball, and baseball's boring. Both things exist.
Two things can definitely be true at the same time.
Yes.
I played too, and it was very boring. So
No, it wasn't boring playing, but watching the MLB now is a snooze fest.
I was bored playing. Maybe because I was playing left field. And nobody.
You know what they say when they put you out in left field when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, you can't like throw it. Like that's what that means.
All right, Naomi Osaka wins her second U.S. Open. 22-year-old phenomenon Naomi Osaka won the U.S. Open tournament at Arthur Ashe Stadium in NYC on Saturday, netting her second U.S. Open title and third Grand Slam overall.
More girl power. I love to see it, especially at only 22 years old. Props to her. That's quite the accomplishment for sure.
No, it's huge. You love it, especially for her, because she is really proud of her heritage, and she's really just a great individual. We saw her rise to her stardom, beating Serena in the most unlikely circumstances, and she has a promising career. I don't want to say she's the next Serena, but she's got a long way to go. But she's definitely making strides at the age that she is, and I love it.
So Osaka defeated her opponent Victoria Azarenka 1-6, 6-3, and 6-3, reclaiming the title she first won in 2018, defeating who we just talked about, Serena Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and when you look at, we talked about Serena last week, Serena being the GOAT, she has a long way to catch up, but she's well on her way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely on her way.
We're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we have our Hater or Love It segment. We'll find out exactly what's going on with Peyton Manning as he's created scholarships for students at 6 HBCUs. We'll be right back. The W Show.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
DA got that dope.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Back in on the W, 100.1 FM. We have a lot to get into for this Hater or Love It segment. Let's do that.
It's that time for Love It or Hate It.
Hate it.
If we love it, we talk about it. If we hate it, we move on.
Starting off with sneakers of the week. Looks like we have the Air Jordan 14s Hyper Royal. What are we thinking?
I actually like these.
Yeah.
Even though as I've gotten older, I really don't feel white shoes. Just because, paying $220 for some white J's. I mean, it is what it is. But I like
the mud, man. Stay out the mud.
Yeah, these are a nice little set right here. Nice setup.
They definitely are.
Instant skateboards, the Nike Dunk Lows. What are we thinking?
I'm rocking.
Yeah. The colorway's good. I'm not really a fan of dunks a lot of the time, But these definitely they do the trick.
I like these as well. I think they have a 3M on the toe, which is that reflective material. I really like these.
For sure.
Definitely.
The Nike Air Max 1 Limeades. And if anything reminds me of limes, that is those for sure.
Definitely. Jasmine, are you rocking these though?
I got to pass on
No.
these. Yeah, I got to pass.
Yeah, these are a definite pass.
And
I
then
like these.
these other
Yeah,
ones,
I do.
Sorry, Sprite.
I'm passing it. What is that pattern in the background of that too? What is that?
It's like picnic table green.
Keep them away. That's giving me like baby shower, baby daddy vibes.
And the Air Maxes, what are we thinking?
The Air Max, but these colorways are pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure what these white holes. What is that? Like,
So it's like the polka dots, but actually these are they retail for $300, and so
what?
and so no, the resale, yeah. So this denim, it's a company over, I want to say in somewhere overseas, right? And it's a company over there, and so they have 3 different Air Maxes coming out. So and we'll have the other 2 coming up probably next week. But
Hopefully the other 2 are better.
they're pretty dope, man. I always like blue and navy. So I mean, they're pretty sweet. But resale, they're $1,900.
I don't know if I'd drop 1,900 on them.
Never.
Yeah, I've been in the
Never.
game. Didn't know. Bye.
Yeah.
Former NFL quarterback Peyton Manning creates a scholarship for students at 6 HBCUs. Hate it or love it.
I love it.
Love it.
We're loving it, especially with the amount of, funding sometimes is an issue for HBCUs and allocating funds. And this just shows that Peyton Manning, he cares. Like at the end of the day, he didn't even go to an HBCU. He went to Tennessee. We've never even seen him really involved with, programs that support HBCUs. For him to do it completely out of left field, but it's great. So
yeah, and I feel like I read something that he was trying to keep it kind of low, which is commendable in a sense. But I love that the story's gotten out. It shows that there are some allies willing to do more than just be performative in their actions, and actually put either money or volunteer their time. And it looks like Peyton is kind of doing a little bit of both, and giving up that money and that wealth. I mean, he's an athlete that was definitely propped up by Black athletes. So this is some sort of reparations.
For sure. And I think it's a prime example of action speaking louder than words in this case.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the biggest thing in the NFL for sure, is a lot of people choosing to stay quiet or doing something different. But I think it's definitely his actions are speaking.
Definitely.
The NFL threatens to discipline for coaches not wearing masks on sidelines. Hate it or love it.
And you know what? This one I hate. I really do.
Yeah, this is the time where they want to go with science over the math. But even still, did you say they were going to fine them? Like, so maybe this is about the math. Maybe this is about making money over the health and safety of the coaches and players.
For sure. And Cam Newton says Miami Dolphins players tried to snatch the chain off his neck after his Patriots won on Sunday. Hate it or love it.
What a bonehead thing.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's stupid. Who does? Like, I mean, we know who does. There are certain NFL players who chain snatch.
Yeah,
but it should be a thing in the past. It's just stupid. Like it makes you look dumb. The league might fine you. It's never anything that's happening on the football field that I'm mad enough to come up to you after the game and try to press you. Like, you had a whole 60 minutes to beat up on me and you didn't do it. So get out of here.
Facts. Noel said it.
And go ahead.
We have actually the Cam. We have the chain snatching incident. We also have Cam's response to it.
With so much uncertainty as they untangle a few of the players, including Wilkins and Newton. Flores comes over to congratulate his old boss.
I like him. He's going to turn this thing around.
No question. Well, they've got the future mapped out. We've talked about Tua, and you could have heard Fitzpatrick talk effusively about what the quarterback of the future and how the football comes out of his hands. And
he'll be good.
Yeah. Cam Newton is trying to get the last word on it.
This is where you almost just want, it's a first game, it's emotional, things of that, but that's going to be a big part, is just on this team, it's day to day, week to week, put it behind you and move on. And, I think that's just part of the process. I know he's been emotional getting ready for this.
It was a competitive game on both sides. You just have to realize who you're talking to and just keep everything in the game. I realized I was talking to a person that's known for doing splits, so that wasn't characteristic of myself to keep going back and forth. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's football, and for me, no matter who it is, I play with a competitive edge, and I expect the other team to have a competitive edge as well. And at the end of the day, anything outside of that, it's just all about respect. So, I don't disrespect nobody, and I wouldn't want anybody to disrespect me. But yet, at the end of the day, we got the thing that was most valuable today, and that's the win.
Just to follow, did they take your chain off? Is that what happened there?
No, I got my chain. I still got my chain. I got two of them, so you can see. No, it was disrespect. They was reaching for my chain, though. They was reaching for my chain. And I think that kind of got up under my skin. But yeah, through it all, man, listen, I don't want nothing to be taken away from a great team game that we did have. And I don't want to be selfish to kind of focus or dwell on that. I think for us as a team, or me personally, a lot of tempers can flare. And, I was just teasing with Coach, just letting him know that College Park almost came out me. So, yet through it all, man, it was just all.
Yeah. Cam's crazy, man.
Love him. He's great for the sport.
And Powell
kind of very disrespectful though for them to try to take his chain off. I think that whole chain thing started with Aqib Talib and
Michael Crabtree.
I can't remember.
Was it Crabtree?
Yeah, Michael Crabtree. Exactly. And so now everybody that wears the chain and you get into it with somebody, I'm gonna take your chain like I'm Debo. So it is what it is.
Pau Gasol's wife named baby after Kobe Bryant's daughter. Hate it or love it.
I love it.
Yeah, love it.
And he's been pretty involved with the family, of course, since the tragedy, and that just shows how close him and Kobe actually were. A lot of people had a lot of different Kobe stories, but I feel like Pau definitely connected. I think when Kobe he found out Kobe could speak Spanish, that kind of took their friendship to another level. I mean, of course, they were teammates on the back-to-back Lakers championship teams in 2009 and 2010. So it's just great. It's just, you love to see it. And I love the fact that, people are keeping Kobe and Gigi's memory alive through various acts, murals, just sort of everything. So you just love to see it.
I love it. LSU's head football coach reveals most of his team has had COVID-19.
Way to keep it real, Coach O. Way to keep it real.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, because what is anyone gonna do? Not play?
LA Sheriff challenges LeBron James to match reward to help find the gunman who ambushed 2 deputies. Hate it or love it.
I hate this. I really do.
The problem with this statement is whoever shot these police officers will be found. They will be prosecuted. So what's the problem? Like when it happens the other way around, that every excuse in the book has been made. So for him to like be this obtuse on purpose is just mind blowing at this point, and it has been for a while. So I reject your challenge to LeBron James, even though he probably didn't even pay mind at all. I'll speak for him and say, like, stay in your lane and work on actually protecting the citizens that you're employed to actually protect.
Well, it's silly because this officer of the law, if that's even what he does at his job, he has a lot to worry about, and a lot to worry about in a sense that he has officers that go through an initiation of killing a black person to get a tattoo. And to be known as an executioner. And, you know, so we like to talk about we don't like to talk about root causes. And normally because the root cause comes from white supremacy. And if this sheriff's department was defunded, and there were some funds shifted towards mental health, and actual rehabilitation for people that need it, maybe these officers wouldn't have been shot. I would like to say that, you know, they did that to some innocent officers, but they are officers that have been silent about executioners on the same police force. So if it's retaliation for that, I mean, it's sad for those officers. But what about the numerous amounts of black people that the LA Sheriff's Department have killed, paralyzed, wrongfully imprisoned, you name it. And that is it seems like this would be a reaction to that. So he's worried about LeBron, and you know he's running a mercenary group.
And that's the thing. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Q. I mean, you have this sheriff's officer who asked LeBron to match the $100,000 pledge, right? So what about if LeBron comes back and says, hey, you know, I'll match that $100,000, but here's the deal. Why don't you help me? You haven't helped me help put the people that killed Breonna Taylor in jail. What about those people? You know, I mean, they work on a police. They have a badge just like you. So why don't you speak out for that? You want me to speak out for this? Have you said anything about Black Lives Matter? Have you done that? So I mean, until you can do that, then don't expect any money to come. And don't get me wrong, you know, we definitely don't condone the going at a police officer or anything like that, especially trying to murder someone. No, we don't condone that. But the thing right is right. And so you're asking him to do something, but you have to do something in return.
We just want the same courtesy that is afforded. That's all. And when I say we want the same courtesy, everybody who knows what that means. So it's in the same breath that he can say that this was wrong, that those officers were killed and they should not have been killed. And everybody with a brain knows that. But we need reciprocity. We need the same thing on the other side. We need sheriffs of the law speaking and say, hey, this was wrong. This man shouldn't have been killed by somebody I employ, and I will do everything to make sure that justice is done in his honor. And we're just not seeing that, and it's kind of getting tiring. It's weighing on us. We just want, like I said, reciprocity. That's all.
100%, I agree. Roy Jones Jr. thinks he made a mistake agreeing to Mike Tyson exhibition match. I love it.
Even in the picture,
I hate it, man. Come on, Roy.
Look at the picture, though. Look, Mike looked like, hey, I'm ready to fight right now. We can fight after this photo.
In July, Jones and Tyson agreed to face each other in an exhibition match set to take place November 28th after it was rescheduled from its initial date in September.
Come on, Roy. Yeah. You knew. You knew. Yeah. I mean, the thing about this is now Roy is trying to renege because he understands. He's seen all the videos that we have seen about, Mike hitting the bags, hitting the gloves, the 1-2s. Now Roy he's getting a little scared. Just call a spade, Roy. You're getting scared.
Mm-hmm. There's not many excuses you can make other than being scared in this scenario. He could go the route of, oh, they're not giving me the amount of money I want, or I have an injury, or scared. Boy.
I knew something was up when it came today. It wasn't because of COVID. It's because he ran out here scared.
Mike literally might be one of the most dangerous humans to ever walk this earth, just within himself. Like nothing extra, just he himself is one of the dangers. So like the fact that another great boxer of all time doesn't want to box him should tell you everything you need to know about Mike Tyson.
Right. What did Roy say though? Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. I think fooling him twice.
What did Roy say though? Because I mean, this is really interesting though.
Roy Jones Jr. said in an interview to Sky Sports, he's still Mike Tyson. He's still one of the strongest, most explosive people we have ever touched a boxing ring. If anything, I made a mistake going in with him. He's the bigger guy. He's the explosive guy. He's going to have all the first round fireworks, not me.
Hey, Steve, can you pull up that picture again of the two?
He's scared.
Look at it.
So why does it look like Roy is mad at his dog? like his dog ran through his rose garden. Now he's about to scold him.
Roy had that song. Y'all remember Roy had that song?
He did.
Came be rocked, came beat me. All right.
Yeah.
Where's
It was the CTE.
Oh yeah, damn.
He looked at that bag and was like, "Man, hey, y'all not paying me enough, bro. If he gonna knock me out, I need to have some more money." I
really hate clowning him just because he's my favorite boxer. He's actually my favorite boxer of all time. Like Roy Jones Jr. in his prime was like he was GOAT level, but for this to happen is just like, oh man, it's disheartening.
It make you lose some respect for him, don't it?
You got to slander. We have to slander. We have to.
DraftKings and New York Giants announce official exclusive sports betting deal. Hate it or love it.
I love it. I love it.
And the New York Giants and DraftKings announced an exclusive multi-year arrangement, making DraftKings the official sports betting, iGaming, and daily fantasy operator of the team. The arrangement grants DraftKings access to official Giants marks and logos, in addition to its first kind virtual sports lounge open on Giants game days.
Here's the thing. Now that they're really legalizing, sports betting, and I've been, dibbling dabbling a little bit in sports betting this last couple of weeks. So, I'm really feeling this deal because, of course, and I don't play DraftKings. I just bet the lines, through various sites. But, I'm really feeling this, honestly.
Steve wants some money.
No, actually, I'm speaking of that. I'm really upset at Michael Porter Jr. last night.
Of course.
Listen, so
free throw.
Yeah, so my bet was there were two different lines, right? There was, I think, a plus. It's like plus 5,000 or something. If Michael Porter Jr. hits 15 points and has three and a half assists, and there was also another line of like plus 1,250 if Michael Porter Jr. hits 9.5 points and 3.5 assists. Well, he got 14 points. And he had 4 assists, but he went to the free throw line and missed the free throw line. So I could have had 2. I put $5 on the 1,250 and then $10 on the 5,000. So it was I missed the 5,000. So it was.
Wait, explain to us how much money you would have made had those bets.
So I put $5 on the first one, and that got me $125. And then I put $10 on the other one that he had to get 15 points, and that would have gotten me $280.
Steve wants some money.
So I won the 120, but it would have felt a lot better had I won, the close to $400. I bet tonight too, so don't worry.
Better luck tonight. 10 of the 32 quarterbacks who started for their respective teams in the NFL's regular season week 1 are black men, the most ever. Hate it or love it.
Love it. And I love it from a stance of coming up playing football and being a black quarterback. And a lot of the racist microaggressions that you get from the majority of white coaches, especially coming up in a time that I did in the late 90s, early 2000. It was tough for black quarterbacks. You walk onto any team at being a black quarterback and you're being asked to change your position. And they could have never seen you throw a football. But they want you to change a position. And for now there to be 10 starting NFL quarterbacks, this is great.
Not just starting quarterbacks. We're talking about MVPs. We're talking about Pro Bowlers. We're talking about ones that have thrown for 5,000 yards in a season. We're talking about dual threat quarterbacks. We're talking about young, older. Like we're all across the board. So
Super Bowl winners.
Exactly. Super Bowl winners. Like it's. I was particularly impressed with Kyler Murray. I didn't know how I felt about him going into this year, but he put on a very good performance. And I think we're just adding to the ledger, just another great quarterback coming up that'll continue that on. So it was great, of course.
49ers seek to ban fan who sent racist messages to Cardinals Budda Baker. Hate it or love it?
Love it. I love it. Hopefully that LA County Sheriff's Department is looking into this guy as a terrorist. Racism is terrorism, and hopefully he gets locked away for 20, 30 years. So
per report, Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis named NBA MVP for second straight season. Giannis is the first player since Steph Curry to go back-to-back. Hate it or love it?
I hate it for the simple fact of there was other people that could have won this, and it's just one of those things where they're gonna go with the guy who they like. That's simple as that.
In the basketball community, the NBA basketball community, we call this a narrative. Me and James, we talked about this on our show this week. He did. It is a regular season award. LeBron, also had his interview after the game last night. He kind of touched on it, but
we had that interview too, real quick. Hold on, no, we had that.
Pissed me off. That's my true answer. It pissed me off because out of 101 votes, I got 16 first place votes. That's what pissed me off more than anything. Not saying that the winner wasn't deserving of the MVP, but that pissed me off. And I finished second a lot in my career, either from a championship and now 4 times as the MVP. Like I said, I never came into this league saying let me be an MVP or be a champion. I've always said I just want to get better and better every single day, and those things that take care of itself. There's some things that's just out of my hand, and some things you can't control. But it pissed me off. The voting scale is a little weird to me sometimes. I mean, if you take 2012, if you just stick with me here, 2012, 2013, I had a chance to be Defensive Player of the Year and also MVP in the same season. And that year, Marc Gasol was rewarded Defensive Player of the Year. But he made second team all defense. Okay, so that doesn't make sense. It's like being the MVP of the league, but you make second team all NBA. That's when I really started to look at things a little bit kind of like differently. I was like, how does that even make any sense? It's like being rookie of the year, but you make second team all rookie. And then I looked at the most improved this year, and rightfully so, Brandon Ingram was amazing. I thought he should have won it. But did you see the votes that Devontae Graham get? He averaged 4 points last year compared to 17 and a half. If that's not improving, what is?
Yeah.
Unload the clip, King.
You know, and when I first watched this, the thing about it was I was like, come on, Brian, why are you
big shocker, Steve?
No. I'm giving LeBron his props. Give me a second. When I first saw this, I'm like, come on, Brian, why are you saying this? Because you felt like you should have won. We never heard MJ come out and say, oh, I felt like I should have won. We never heard any of the other MVP candidates come out and say that. But then when he said, well, I felt like Brandon Ingram really should have won it, then I was like, okay, all right, I can really respect what you're saying.
No, he was saying,
but
I think
go ahead. Yeah.
My bad. The thing about it is he's always an advocate for the players, and it's never pitting one player against the other. I think his true point here is like who is actually deserving of the award and what is the actual criteria. And like I said earlier, it's a narrative that is pushed that Giannis, from the very moment he stepped on the court this year, in the first couple games, they were going to give him the MVP award. And the same thing with a Brandon Ingram who played very well and improved a whole lot, but Devontae Graham, like LeBron said, he improved just as much or maybe more, and he got very little votes. So I think his point is just based solely on what is the narrative that's being pushed by the media and what is the actual criteria for these awards. I think that's solely his point, and he just used it himself.
No, definitely, and he made a wonderful point. Even going back to the 2012-2013 season, and being able to make that point, you know, there were several points made over several different years for different MVPs, and like you said, no, there's a certain narrative that they want to play out, and it seems that it plays out every year. Because I mean, a lot of the times, when is LeBron not the most valuable player in the league? And I mean, that's you know, it as much as we would love for him, well, as much as maybe others outside of Steve would love that they rightfully gave him that. And it's not even a give. Like he's earned being the most valuable player on the teams that he has played on. And of course it would be,
but not in the NBA.
No, it's in the NBA. Like he's definitely been a great addition to every team that he's been on. We talk about most valuable, and LeBron is normally the most valuable, and we've seen him do this going into the playoffs. We've seen him do this countless times, and as much as we would like to complain about it, I mean, MJ didn't win every season, and MJ may have complained about it behind the scenes, but you know,
definitely did.
We didn't see it.
Well, and that's the thing. And Steve is holding LeBron James to a guy over 25 years ago, to a standard 25 years ago. So come on, Steve. Let's be progressive here on the W.
I'm progressive. I'm just saying that he's not the best player in the league. Just putting that out there.
So can I also say that when we look at the NFL and how they give out their awards, they have an offensive player of the year and they have a defensive player of the year, and then they have an MVP. I think that's a point that also needs to be made, that like these awards, like why shouldn't the NBA have the same deal? Like, why is that not a thing? I think that's just a valid question to bring up. But.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about LeBron, this is one I want to throw out there. Some news was released last night about Bronny, LeBron James Jr., his son, allegedly had a video of himself smoking marijuana. Hate it or love it.
He's in LA. I mean, if his parents consent to it, great for him.
Is it not legal?
I mean, was it prescribed? We don't know.
We have no idea. We don't know.
I don't know.
Do we know if it was marijuana? Like, do we know?
That's why I said allegedly. You know, I'm just saying that from a parent perspective. You know, and then we talk about LeBron all the time, right? We talk about his, you know, he's the golden child in the league. I'm just putting it out there. He's, he can do no wrong. He's lived a squeaky clean life, minus the mishaps in high school with the football jerseys and that. But other than that, he's had a squeaky clean career. And so when you have this, that's, looked at as, and marijuana is not as looked at as negative as it used to be, 15, 20 years ago. However, it's more mainstream now. But then you have a kid who's 14, 15 years old smoking weed. I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's putting that out there. I don't think it's cool.
Of course, not the video itself. Bronny is going to have to learn like who he is. Like your name is LeBron James Jr. Like you're going to have to know that he's going to learn that at some point. I'm sure Bron has already, been in his ear. Of course, he's his dad. It's just the optics is the only thing that looks bad. If you look at it on its face, it really doesn't matter. Like like there was nothing wrong with the video.
Yeah. And he's in a private school in LA. That might lead somebody to smoke. Understanding the dynamic that he has to deal with out there and the peers that he's around. It'd be tough for a black man in that scenario.
We appreciate everybody joining in, tuning in, however you watch this week. Shout out to our people from Nebraska who texted me and said that they tuned in. Until next week, we are out of here.
Radio show by the host, co-host, guests, and call-in listeners are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not represent the opinions of the W Show, 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio, Sideline Sports Talk, Team Wall Street Foundation, or affiliates.